The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
So recently there was a lady, she was having a lot of guests on Shabbos. Unfortunately, the hot water broke. She didn't have hot water. It's one thing that happens in the mountains, you can get upset at the owner. But it happens at your own house, you have no one to yell at. So she quickly called ABC Plumbing. She calls up the guy, says, "From guy, could you please come to my house? My hot water broke." The guy says, "I'm so sorry. It's 1:30 Erev Shabbos. I don't work 1:30 Erev Shabbos." He says, "Please, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe call someone, I don't know what to tell you." She calls him back later, 5 minutes later, she says, "Look, I'll pay you double. Please come." She says, "I can't come, it's Shabbos by me. I don't work Erev Shabbos, I can't." "What should I do?" He says, "You know what, call Chaverim." Okay, she calls Chaverim. 10 minutes later, a plumber shows up. Would you believe it? ABC Plumbing. The guy shows up, he starts to fix her thing. So she says, "Weren't you the guy I just spoke to 15 minutes ago?" She says, "Yeah." She goes, "I thought you don't work on Erev Shabbos." He goes, "I don't work Erev Shabbos." "So what are you doing here?" He goes, "Chesed. Chesed I do all the time." "What kind of question is that?" When he finishes, he wants to pay her. She wants to pay him. She says, I told you I don't take money. "I'll pay you double." You said, "I don't take money for Chesed. If this was work, I wouldn't come." Chesed, of course I come. So I'm trying to think to myself, what category is this story? Is this a B'tachin story? Is it Kavod Shabbos? Is it Chesed? What type of story is this? The answer is it's Klal Yisrael's story. This is what we do. But we have to learn to do it not just when people are in need. We have to learn to do it when two people are sitting there and everything's good. Just the guy is different than you in some sort of way. Your job is to find something good into him. Not to wait chas v'shalom until he needs a tire changed, and then of course you're there to do it. We need it when things are good. That's when Hashem is looking for us to happen. A few years ago, the Eliezer Abish Baal Kair was nifter. Rabbi Yisrael Klein. He was the Baal Kair for the Eliezer Abish for many years. And he was nifter. He had many children by the when he was sitting Shiva. At the Shiva house, people were coming, and one time somebody came in and no one knew who he was. He was just sitting there. And as people were leaving, one of the people said, "You knew our father?" He says, "Yeah, I met your father. I met him once." He says, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, I met him once in Auschwitz." "You met my father in Auschwitz so many years ago?" He goes, "Yeah. Let me tell you how I met him." He said, "I was starving like everyone was, and I was going out of my mind. I was so hungry, and I was walking around people, something to eat, please, something. And your father came over to me, and he says, 'I don't have any food to give you, but there's something else I can give you.' And he gave me a big hug. And he held me. And he said, 'Hashem loves me.' And that's how I was able to continue to go. And now I have children and I have grandchildren. And it's thanks to your father. That's why I came here to Menachem Oval. He had nothing to give, but to a fellow Yid, you can always give a hug. There was once a child in yeshiva, he wasn't doing the right things and he had to be sent out. And they warning him, but there reaches a time, sometimes didn't the fashis, but sometimes the child has to be sent out. And this bacher was sent out, and the Manal made sure to keep up with him. He called him twice, and then life went on and he stopped calling him. 2.5 years later, he met him by a chasna. He sees this bacher, he looked good. He looked like a frum, good geschmack bacher, and he went over to him, Shalom Aleichem, you remember me? Of course I remember you. You kicked me out of yeshiva. He says, "Yeah, okay, but you look like it worked, like you're doing well." He says, "Yeah." He goes, "How did it work? How did it happen?" He says, "I'll tell you the truth. My Rabbi used to call me. He called me every week. That gave me so much chizuk that my Rabbi cared about me. He called me every week. I decided he cares about me so much, I'm a person of value, and I turned myself around." The Manal was very pleased to hear this. He was very excited. When he went back to yeshiva, he went over to the Rabbi. He says, "I met this in this bacher." So the Rabbi said, "Really? How's he doing?" Because he's doing great. The Rabbi says, "Oh, Baruch Hashem." He says, "You look surprised." He goes, "Yeah, I am surprised." He says, "Well, he said it's because of you." He says, "What do you mean?" He says, "You called him every single week. And that's what gave him the chizuk." "Did you call him every single week?" So the Rebbe looks and says, "I'll tell you the truth, I did call him every single week. But not once did he answer the phone. Not once did he answer the phone. I didn't know what was going on with him. But that kid saw the caller ID. That kid saw that the Rebbe cared about him. And therefore, that caring about him is what got him to turn around." We too, there's a Baskal Hashem sends out every day, calling us. Even if we don't hear the Baskal, we should at least know that the Baskal is there and Hashem is waiting for us to come home.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org